talk about is the things that I wish I knew before starting a weight loss journey, before starting a health journey. And I think this is so important because I don't know what your journey's been like, but my journey was like 15 years long, struggling to accept my body, struggling to be happy, struggling to have healthy habits, struggling to have a consistent routine, and full of failure after failure after failure, disappointment after disappointment. So if I can help somebody even just skip one of the mistakes that I made or one of the heartbreaks that I went through, then that's a job well done in my eyes. So that's what I really want to focus on, talk about what I wish I knew before I had my journey and all the stuff that I went through. So first thing that I wish somebody told me before I started this journey was that you cannot spot treat fat. This is something I wish I knew and I never understood before, but you can't spot treat fat. So what that means is you can't choose where your body burns fat. Unfortunately, your body will burn fat where it wants to, when it wants to. And the order in which it burns fat is totally genetic. It happens totally on a genetic level. So some people, when they start to lose weight, they'll lose it in their face first. Some people will lose it in their back first. Some people lose it in their thighs first. It really just depends on your genetics. And the rough part is, usually the place we want to lose the weight the most is the place we lose the weight last. And it's like this sick trick the universe plays on us. But what you can look at it as is a test. It's the universe saying, how badly do you want this? How bad are you going to work for this? And so what I wish someone told me was, you can't spot treat. So that would have saved me hours in the gym where I was just doing countless crunches, aggravating my neck, tons of sit-ups and planks, thinking that that was going to shrink and flatten my belly. When really I should have been taking, a more balanced approach and realizing it's not necessarily what I do that's the most important, it's how long I do it. And my troubled area that I always hated was my belly. I always wanted a flat tummy. I wanted to be proud in the bikini and not go to a beach with a shirt on and come out of the water like a creature from the Black Lagoon with it over my face, kind of dying, right? And I wish someone just told me that. It would have saved me so many times and so many worthless reps in the gym where it's just a time thing. Your body will target that troubled area no matter what. It's not if, it's when. So are you doing something that you can sustain long enough for your body to say, okay, it's time to target there? And I think a lot of people get especially women, we get so confused with this concept because everything pretty much that you see in the weight loss and health industry is burn belly fat, tone your arms, right? It's like specific things like, oh, this is exactly what I want to do. And yes, they're contributing to helping that, right? Like crunches are going to help give me nice defined muscles, but if I still have a layer of fat over my stomach, you'll never see the muscles I worked on in the first place, right? And so you get even more frustrated because you put in the work and you don't see the results you think you should. So this is something I also wish that I knew because it puts things in perspective and it sets proper expectations. Just because I do a sit-up does not mean I'm closer to a six-pack. Just because I do a bicep curl does not mean I'm closer to toned arms. It's, am I doing the right thing and am I going to stick to it long enough for it to pay off? That is what I wish someone had told me, and then I would have exhaled a little bit more. Then I wouldn't have always felt like I was in this rush or this race to get somewhere. Like, oh my God, I have to do this, I have to get this done. And I could actually enjoy the process, and I would, in this specific example, I could do the exercises that I enjoyed, right? I started to hate ab exercises because they were the only ones that I did because I thought that was great for my stomach. And so I hated to do them because I thought I had to do them. When you start to think you have to do something too much, then we start to develop this negative relationship with it where we kind of get turned off by it. And there's an ebb and flow. There's an ebb and flow that we need. So that's the first thing that I wish I knew before I started my weight loss journey, and I want to impart on you ladies. We cannot spot treat, okay? Unfortunately, we can't just zap fat in one area. Your body can absolutely target that area. It's just going to totally depend on your genetics. And if you want to know when, right, if you want like a general idea of when your body will target there, think about the order in which you gained the weight. And then just reverse that. And that's where it will come off and in which order it will come off, right? If you put weight on your arms first, right, then that's kind of where they go, and that's the order that it will go, right? Where was the last place you put on weight, right? For me, usually I can gain weight in my stomach first, and usually I put weight last on my thighs, actually. So the first place to go is going to be the last place it went, which would be my thighs. So my thighs go first, my stomach goes last. We kind of just reverse engineer how you gain it. So that's the first thing. Second thing I wish someone had taught me was how to set proper goals, right? Now, we're generally good at knowing what we want, but we gotta know more than that. We gotta know the specifics. So there's this thing called SMART goals, and this is probably like the bare minimum you need to know to set a proper goal. So SMART goal, S-M-A-R-T, stands for specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely. Okay, so anytime you set a goal, even in another area of your life, even in your marriage, your job, a vacation goal, like whatever, you have to follow the SMART format. So it needs to be specific. So you need to pick one thing that is your goal in that area, right? So a specific goal is not losing weight. That's very vague, right? Losing 10 pounds is specific, right? Saying I want to lose weight and do 10 push-ups and do a 5K race and do this, that's too much. So you be specific. One thing, specific result you're looking for, not a vague result. That's the first step. So if you've already had that in your mind, you're on the right path. Second thing is the M. So measurable. Your goal needs to be measurable. So how are you tracking your goal? Is it trackable? Are you just saying you want to lose weight, but you don't have a plan in place? Are you not checking it, right? You check your bank account frequently, you got to check your weight frequently, right? You show up to the doctors frequently, hopefully, and then you show up to your workouts frequently. So when a goal needs to be measurable, you can't just say I want to lose 10 pounds and not have reverse engineered the process to doing that, right? I'm going to work out, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to hit my steps, I'm going to attend my coaching calls, listen to these podcasts. How are you measuring and tracking losing that specific goal? Next thing would be actionable. The A is actionable. So actionable meaning, are there clear tasks laid out? So not only is it measurable that you can track, like little wins, and you can keep track of things and track your progress, but is it actually actionable? What are the specific tasks that will get this outcome, that will get that outcome? So do you have tasks outlined in your head, right? So do you have the specifics? How are you measuring if you're on the path or not? And then how are you breaking up the tasks to get there? So that's the A. The R is realistic. So what is your goal? Are we expecting to lose 100 pounds in 5 days? That's obviously not realistic, right? Are we expecting to run a marathon next week and we hate running? That's not realistic. So if we have to come back down to reality, get off the moon, come down to Earth, what would that goal be? What is something that you are very highly likely to attain? That's what you choose. We don't choose something that's so outrageous because we're coming from a place of, at least when I was starting, I was coming from a place of just being beat up again and again and again, and just really demotivated. So pick something that's realistic and actually you have a very high probability of attaining. Not something that's a 50-50, not something that's a 1%. That's very high, like a 99% to 100% chance. And then the T in SMART goals would be timely, right? So what is the time frame? You got to put a limit here, right? It can be a quick time frame, it can be a long time frame, but it needs to be a time frame. It can't be an open-ended goal. Otherwise, you won't know how to track your progress. You won't know if you're on the right track or not if you don't have these kind of timeline intervals. And you need an overall arching time frame, right, start to finish, and then you need little time frames in the beginning for little goals, for little victories to keep up motivation. So that's basically how you set goals. That is never how I used to set goals in the beginning. In the beginning, my goals was, man, I just want to lose my tummy, right? That was my very first goal. I want to lose my tummy. Well, what does that mean? Cool, now what, right? There's no clear path, there's no measuring of progress, there's no timeline to lose the tummy. So this is something I wish I really had, that the SMART goal format really helps. And then I also wish somebody sat me down and asked me why I wanted to lose my belly. I was talking to a fit queen a couple weeks ago, and I was asking her goals, and she's like, well, I want to lose weight. And I was like, cool, awesome. Why do you want to lose weight? And she said, well, I want to lose weight because I want to feel good. I'm like, awesome, feeling good's great, but why do you want to feel great? And she's like, well, I'm not feeling too good right now. I'm not confident, I'm not fitting in clothes like I want to. Sometimes I avoid the mirror or the scale. And I'm like, okay, so we're not feeling good. Why are you not feeling good? What do you want to feel good for? And she says, well, I think I want to feel more sexy. I want to feel more sexy. I miss walking into a room and having people stare, or I miss walking into a room and having my head high. I was like, cool. Why do you want to feel sexy? And she said, well, I want to keep a connection alive with my husband. I want to be desirable and I want to feel good. I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. And why do you want to keep the connection alive with your husband? And she said, well, I don't want to become distant. And then I said, well, what happens if you become distant? And she said, well, we get a divorce. So now we went from I want to lose weight all the way to I want to prevent a divorce. That's a pretty heavy goal. Which one do you think is going to have more drive and passion and power behind? Which one do you think is going to be strong enough to make you make the right decision in a weak moment? Because if I'm going to a birthday party and I'm having a piece of cake and my goal is weight loss, well, I can lose weight tomorrow. So I'm going to eat the piece of cake today, right? My goal will be there tomorrow. I can just get back on tomorrow. Whereas if my goal is preventing a divorce, well, that can't wait till tomorrow. I think I'll be able to have a little extra power to say no to the cake today, kind of thing. So that's what I wish someone did. They taught me about SMART goals, so I knew exactly what I was working towards. And then I wish I knew why I was working towards it. So any goal you have, ladies, I want you to go down the rabbit hole of whys. So say it, and then say, why do I want it? And then go, why, and find out how deep it goes to your real why. That's the real motivator. That's the one that'll be the strongest thing that gives you the most energy and willpower and passion throughout your week. And it's nice to always remind that, because losing weight, if we just leave it there, it's not as powerful. It's not this life or death thing. It's something we can come in and out of. And we're losing weight for an important reason, whatever that one is for you. You need to know that reason so we can stay strong through this crazy roller coaster journey. And I wish someone took me on my rabbit hole like that before I even started, because it would have stopped me from having to restart so many times. Because usually the thing that used to throw me off was, I'll start next Monday. That was it. I was the queen of starting next Monday. There were hundreds and hundreds of Mondays that I said I was going to start and I never did. Who can relate to that? Hundreds of Mondays came and went. And it was because I slipped up and I said, screw it, next Monday. I'm having fun, next Monday. My why didn't resonate with me enough. So that's what I also wish that I knew. And then the last thing that I wish I knew before I started my journey was that your weight is a symptom. You know, we gained this weight for a reason. It didn't just happen, and we don't know why, and we don't know what happened. It happened for a reason, because of something, or because something was missing. And so we gain weight because it's a side effect of a different problem. And what I wish somebody told me was, don't focus on the weight. Focus on fixing the problem, and the weight literally will melt away and you don't even have to think about it, right? So some reasons that we gain the weight could be, my work was stressful. I don't know how to stick up for myself and say no. I don't have the character trait of being disciplined, right? These are all examples of different things that could have caused the weight gain, right? And those are the problems we need to work on. If you lose weight and you haven't mastered the character trait of discipline, are we going to keep it off? Like, hell no. how can we keep weight off if we're not disciplined? And if that's where we're lacking, well, you better double down on the discipline and not worry about the weight loss, because the weight loss will come. And the weight loss is exciting, and a weight loss should be a measuring tool to say, ha, I am getting more disciplined, or ha, I am learning how to stick up for myself more. That's why that number can create so much emotion in you, right? Because we get excited when it's good, and we get upset when it's bad. And it's because there's a deeper meaning to that number to you, but we've never dived deep enough so you know why those emotions are so intense just from a number on the scale. It's because of what it means to you subconsciously. It means that you've changed or you haven't changed. It means that you're focusing your attention in the right place, or you're going to be stuck in the same place. So I wish someone told me that your weight is a side effect. What are we missing here? What are we missing? And I was stuck in my cycle again and again, month after month. January rolled around and I was super pumped. I lost weight through maybe the first half of the year. Then I'd plateau. Then the last half of the year with all the holidays, I'd gain it back. So January 1st to December 31st, I was almost always the exact same weight, if not heavier. Although I put in all this effort in the middle of those months, I put a ton of effort in, and I had nothing to show for it. I didn't put my effort in the right place. Who can relate to that? Wasted effort. We put it in the wrong place. Now, of course, there's no such thing as wasted effort, because you can always learn from things. But in the moment, it really does feel like wasted effort. Like, why did I even try? And that's a feeling you, of course, want to avoid, because it's not going to push you to keep going. No way, especially if it's the 15th time it's happened, right? So I just wish someone had sat me down and said, this is where your attention should go, and watch this other area, watch that symptom go away. Because it's like stepping on a nail and then screaming out in pain and then desperately scrambling to get rid of the pain and doing everything you can to get rid of the pain, except actually pulling the nail out, right? The pills, the potions, maybe the injections, we're trying everything to get rid of this pain. What's wrong? I can't get rid of it. Have you tried just pulling the nail out? There's a nail sticking in you somewhere that's causing you pain, that's causing discomfort, that's causing you to keep repeating bad habits or bad thought patterns. There's a nail sticking out of you somewhere that you're not simply focusing on and pulling out. You're trying to get rid of the pain, the symptom and the side effect, instead of finding the root cause. Same thing with your weight. It's a side effect. Where's the nail? You got to search for that nail. That's the one, I think that's the most important one I wish I knew. Where's the nail? Every day you can wake up, where's my nail? And we can search for it, and we can think we find it, and then there's kind of always a new nail that pops up, or a new understanding of what that nail really is. It's layers. There's layers behind it. Really, really is. And I say this often because it still blows my mind. There's a pretty significant amount of fit queens who join us and then end up breaking up with their spouse or divorcing their spouse because they realize their spouse is not supportive and it does not align with the new them they want to become. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there's so many fit queens who have the best marriage ever after fit queen, because now they've inspired their spouse to be better, to do better, to evolve, to find their nails. It's crazy. Sometimes the nails are the spouse. Sometimes you can help your spouse pull out their own nails. And that's just one layer where we don't even think to go. I remember this, I told the story a while ago, but I remember I was having this call with a potential fit queen, and she was talking about, I always poke at different areas of the life, because I really want to get a full picture as to how we ended up here. And I went into the marriage, and I was like, how's marriage? Is that getting affected? Are you getting less intimate? Do you find you hide your body? Are you uncomfortable? Do you not feel sexy? Does the other person not find you desirable as much? We're poking. And there was no issues. She's like, nope, my husband's supportive. He's here for me. We love each other. We have a good time. No issues. I was like, okay, cool, moving on, right? Thinking nothing of it. 3 months later, she reaches back out, and guess what she tells me? I'm in the process of getting a divorce. nail real quick. She didn't even know it was there. And we brought attention to it in 3 months. Absolutely crazy. Now, I'm not saying that your spouse is your nail. I'm just saying the nail is a big thing. Divorce is a big freaking thing. There's something the equivalent to that extent, that heaviness, that importance. There's an equivalent in your life, something like that. Something that big of a deal. Something that drastic. Something that carries that much weight. Where is it? And what have you been disguising it as? Or how have you been avoiding it? So those are pretty much the three big things I wish someone sat me down before I started and just shook me and told me and shook it into me. Number one, you can't spot treat, so stop wasting your time with what you're doing and make sure you can just keep doing it. Number two, set your goals properly, so you need SMART goals to begin with, and then you need to go down the rabbit hole of why are we even wanting those goals. And then thing number three was, your weight is a side effect. Find the actual problem and your weight problems are gone. Find the nail.